There is a place at the edge of Europe where the roads disappear into the mist, where the ocean crashes against cliffs older than civilization itself, and where silence is so loud. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world. Most people will never come here. Most people don't even know it exists. This is Scotland, and it is far more beautiful than the end of the world has any right to be. To understand Scotland, you have to forget everything you think you know about Europe. Forget the postcards. Forget the guidebooks. Forget the idea that a continent this old could still surprise you. Because Scotland does not follow the rules of anywhere else. It exists on its own terms, in its own time, under its own sky. The first thing you notice is that the light here is different. It is not the warm golden light of the Mediterranean, nor the clean white light of the north. It is something in between, something ancient and melancholic and impossibly beautiful, as if the sky itself is always on the verge of telling you a secret. And then the cities appear. Edinburgh rises from the earth like something that was not built, but grown. A skyline of dark spires and volcanic rock and castle walls that have absorbed centuries of rain and war and poetry. Walking through its streets is not like sightseeing. It is like stepping into the memory of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. Every cobblestone has a story. Every alley holds a ghost. Every pub carries the echo of a conversation that started 300 years ago and never really ended. But Edinburgh is only the beginning. Scotland is a country that reveals itself slowly, almost reluctantly, as if it needs to be sure you are worthy of what it is about to show you. And just when you think you understand it, just when you think you have seen its best, it opens up into something so vast, so raw, so overwhelmingly alive, that all you can do is stop and breathe and admit that you were never prepared for this. If Edinburgh is Scotland's soul, then Glasgow is its heartbeat. 45 miles to the west, sitting on the banks of the River Clyde, Glasgow is a city that has never had much patience for pretense. It does not seduce you slowly like its eastern sister. It grabs you by the collar, pulls you in, and dares you to keep up. This is a city that was built on iron and ambition, that fed the Industrial Revolution with its bare hands, that sent ships out into the world from its shipyards that were once the greatest on earth. Glasgow knows what it means to work. It knows what it means to struggle. And it knows better than almost any city in Europe what it means to reinvent itself completely without ever losing its identity. The streets here are wide and confident, lined with Victorian architecture so grand and so detailed that you have to stop and look up, really look up, to understand the scale of what was built here. There is a moment, somewhere along the western coast of Scotland, where the road simply runs out. No warning, no sign, just the end of the asphalt, the beginning of the grass, and then nothing but ocean. The Atlantic stretches out before you in every shade of gray and green and blue that nature ever invented, crashing against cliffs that have stood here since before human memory began. This is not a coastline that was designed to be gentle. It was designed to be honest. The wind here does not whisper. It speaks directly, cutting through every layer you are wearing, reminding you with absolute certainty that you are small and that the world was here long before you, and that it will be here long after. But there is something deeply comforting in that feeling, something that the modern world has almost made us forget. Standing at the edge of the Atlantic, with nothing between you and the horizon, you begin to understand why the people who were born here never truly leave. Not in their hearts. Because this coastline does not just surround Scotland, it shapes it. It is in the music, slow and aching and full of longing. It is in the language, in the old Gaelic words that sound like wind and water moving together. It is in the faces of the fishermen who have been reading these waves for generations, who know this ocean not as a landscape, but as a living thing, unpredictable, magnificent, and deeply, deeply alive. The Scottish coast is not a place you come to relax. It is a place you come to remember something. Something about the world, something about yourself, something you did not even know you had forgotten. There are places in the world that carry weight, not the weight of buildings or monuments or the things that human hands have made, but the weight of time itself, of everything that has happened on a piece of land and everything that land has witnessed and absorbed and never spoken aloud. Glencoe is one of those places. Driving into the valley for the first time feels less like arriving somewhere and more like descending into something. The mountains rise on either side with a scale that is almost offensive, ancient, black, and utterly indifferent to your presence. The clouds move through this valley differently than anywhere else, catching on the ridgelines, pouring down the slopes like slow water, filling the air with a mist so thick you can almost touch it. Glencoe is not a place that tries to be beautiful. It simply is, in the most brutal and uncompromising way possible. But beauty is only half of what lives here, because Glencoe carries a history as dark as its skies. In the winter of 1692, in the early hours of a February morning, one of the most infamous massacres in Scottish history took place in this valley. Soldiers turned on the people who had sheltered them, and 38 members of the MacDonald clan were killed in their sleep. The mountains did not move, the river kept running, and the valley absorbed it all, as it had absorbed everything before and everything since. Today, Glencoe stands in silence, patient, permanent, and profound. A reminder that the most powerful landscapes are not always the ones that take your breath away with their beauty, but the ones that take it away with everything they carry. There is a version of Scotland that most travelers never find. Not because it is hidden exactly, but because it does not announce itself. It does not appear on the dramatic postcards or the sweeping aerial shots that stop you mid-scroll. It exists quietly, off the main roads, behind a curtain of mist and moss and silence so complete that the modern world feels not just distant, but entirely irrelevant. This is the ancient forest of Scotland, and it is one of the last truly wild places left in Europe. These are not the neat, ordered forests of the continent. There is nothing manicured here, nothing managed, nothing designed for human comfort. The trees grow the way they want, twisted and enormous and draped in more shades of green than you knew existed, their roots crawling over rocks and into streams as if the forest itself is slowly, quietly reclaiming everything that was ever taken from it. The light that filters through the canopy here is unlike any light you have ever seen. It arrives in fragments, broken and scattered by 10,000 leaves, landing on the forest floor in patterns that shift with every breath of wind. Walking through it feels less like hiking and more like moving through something alive, something that is aware of you, that has been here long before you arrived, and that will be here long after your footprints have disappeared. Scotland was once covered almost entirely by what the Gaels called the Great Wood of Caledon, a vast primordial forest that stretched from coast to coast and sheltered wolves and bears and creatures that have long since vanished from this island. Most of that forest is gone now, cleared over centuries for farmland and fuel and war. But in the valleys and the hillsides and the protected corners of the highlands, fragments of it survive, ancient, stubborn, impossibly beautiful, as if the forest never truly accepted that it had been defeated, as if it has simply been waiting, with all the patience that only something truly ancient can possess, for the chance to grow back. If Scotland has a language that the whole world understands, it is written in stone. Massive, ancient, defiant stone, shaped by hands that believed that what they were building would need to outlast everything. Wars, invasions, centuries of rain, and the slow, relentless erosion of time itself. Scotland has more castles per square mile than almost anywhere else on Earth, and that number alone tells you something important about this country. It tells you that this was a land that was fought over, again and again, by people who understood that whoever controlled the high ground controlled everything. But to reduce Scottish castles to military architecture would be to miss the point entirely. These are not just fortresses. They are biographies. Each one tells the story of a family, a clan, a king, a betrayal, a love affair, a last stand. Each one holds within its walls a version of Scottish history that no textbook has ever fully captured. There is Eilean Donan, rising from the meeting point of three lochs in the Western Highlands, its reflection trembling in the dark water below, looking so perfectly placed that it seems less like something that was built and more like something that simply appeared there, inevitable and eternal. There is Dunnottar, perched on a cliff above the North Sea with a drop so sheer and so absolute that standing at its edge feels like standing at the boundary between the land of the living and something else entirely. The ones you find by accident at the end of a dirt road, half swallowed by ivy and silence, their towers open to the sky, their floors return to grass. These are perhaps the most powerful of all, because they ask you nothing. They do not perform. They simply stand, as they have always stood, letting the wind move through them, letting the seasons change around them, indifferent to whether anyone is watching or not. In Scotland, even the ruins refuse to disappear. Most people come to Scotland looking up, at the mountains, at the castles, at the endless dramatic sky. But if you slow down, if you learn to be still in the way that this landscape demands, you begin to notice that Scotland is watching you back. This is a country teeming with life. Ancient, resilient, extraordinary life that has adapted over thousands of years to one of the most demanding environments in all of Europe. And once you start to see it, you cannot stop. The red deer is perhaps the most iconic creature of the Scottish Highlands. The largest wild land mammal in Britain, moving through the mist of the upper glens with a grace and a weight that feels almost mythological. These animals have survived Scottish winters that would defeat almost anything else on Earth. That gentleness is built on a foundation of extraordinary toughness. Along the coastline, gray seals haul themselves onto rocks worn smooth by centuries of Atlantic waves, watching the boats pass with an expression of complete and magnificent indifference. Dolphins ride the bow waves in the deeper waters off the Western Islands. Ospreys dive into the lochs with a precision that seems impossible until you see it happen right in front of you. Scotland's fauna does not perform. It does not exist for the benefit of visitors or cameras or wildlife documentaries. It exists because this land, despite everything, has remained wild enough to sustain it. And that, in a world that is losing its wildness faster than anyone wants to admit, is perhaps the most remarkable thing about Scotland of all. Scotland changed something in me, and I have a feeling it did the same to you. If there is one place in this video that made you stop and think, one landscape that stayed with you, one moment that made you want to pack your bags and go, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this journey meant something to you, leave a like, subscribe, and come with me on the next one. Because the world is still full of places like this, and we are just getting started.